Good evening, Malaysia, and followers from around the world. Tonight, we are really thrilled to have with us Harith Iskander. He's a Malaysian actor, TV host, director, and a comedian. He is the godfather of stand-up comedy. Taiko lah, okay? And he has won many awards, including Asia's Best Stand-up Comedian Award in 2014. He also won the Funniest Person in the World competition in 2016, but he's also an entrepreneur, a businessman. He is the only one in Malaysia to run a stand-up comic restaurant called the Joke Factory. And running a business is, of course, serious business. There's plenty of worries, from operating costs to keeping your staff intact and ensuring there's profit. But before we talk business, let's hear from Harith how he got started in show business. And the word here is show business. It is a business after all. Okay, Harith.
Absolutely. Hey, Chunwai, how you doing?
Man, okay.
Okay, so you want to jump straight into it?
Yeah, let's jump to it.
Okay, let's jump straight into it. This is my 30th year, my 30th anniversary, the big 30 of being in show business, as you put it. I did my first stand-up comedy show in 1990, August 30th, Merdeka Eve, 1992, be exact.
Wow.
So 30 years. It was meant to be a big 30-year celebration, but a very small thing called the world pandemic, COVID-19, put a stop to all of that. So yeah, where do I begin? How did I get in show business? Well, as a stand-up comedian, like I said, I started 30 years ago. Before that, I had a job. I was in a 9 to 5. I was working in an advertising agency, and Leo Burnett advertising agency. At that time, one of the probably top 3 world biggest advertising agencies. And I was a audio visual producer, basically doing McDonald's commercials, producing.
Okay.
McDonald's as well as Dunhill. You could advertise cigarettes in those days. So I was still working there when I first had my foray onto stage, which was in stand-up comedy. So basically, yeah, that's how I started. I had a job and I just did stand-up comedy for fun. My first show was at the old Subang Airport Hotel. Back in the day, before we had KLIA, we had the Subang Airport Hotel. My friend Marina Mustafa was the PA, the PR manager at the hotel, and she says, "Harith, Merdeka Eve, come on, get on stage, tell your funny stories." You know, that time there was no stand-up comedy in Malaysia. Why? Yeah. Stand-up comedy did not exist as an art form in Malaysia. Only if you travel to the US or you watch old VHS videotapes would you know what is stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So I watched Eddie Murphy's Delirious on VHS videotape. Just like
slot in.
Yeah, slot in. And then when he gets tangled, it's like, screw that. So I kind of knew what stand-up comedy was. I got up on stage at the Subang Airport Hotel. House was a full house. There were about 6 people there. 4 of them were staff. It was all good. And then subsequent to that, I went to All That Jazz in SS2.
Yes, in SS2.
SS2, right next to Mango Jerry's.
Next to the Bak Kut Teh shop.
Mango Jerry's, brother.
Yes, right.
But I didn't go there because
okay, all right. All That Jazz.
All That Jazz.
Okay.
And I was watching Rafiq Rashid.
Yes.
The old school people remember Rafiq Rashid.
Yes.
He was a great singer-songwriter who changed the lyrics and made songs funny. And during his break, one of my friends said to him, "Hey, this guy tells funny stories." So Rafiq Rashid called me on stage. I told my funny stories. Someone saw me at that night and said, "Hey, I got this function, I got this event. Can you come and tell your funny stories?" So I went and did that. And then someone saw me at that function and said, "Hey, I got this event. Can you come and tell your funny stories?" And it began to roll. And 30 years later, I'm still telling funny stories.
Fantastic, really. Now, but how did you, along this way, at what point did you felt that, look, you continue doing your performance at concerts, at shows, at dinner shows. At what point you said that, look, I need to have a permanent place of my own. I need to have something that actually actually belongs to me, the Joke Factory. How did it came about?
Well, basically, in less than 2 words, my wife. So I got married in 2010, and my wife comes along completely. She's a doctor. She doesn't know anything about entertainment, doesn't know anything about the arts, but she just looks at me and she goes, "Hey, you've been doing this." By that time, it was already about 17 years. You've been doing this 17 years, and what have you got to show for it?
Yeah.
Like literally, what? 'Cause my wife, like you've met my wife, she's
Yes,
very
yes.
gung ho. The Hokkien side of her come out. Come on, come on, come on. What? So, so she took over managing me at the time from zero experience, and I will not be afraid in saying this. My career for the first 15 years, if you can look at a graph, was kind of going this way, and the moment she came into my life, it shot up, and she's behind it all, and so the joke factory was along that line. She said, "Listen, it's good and fine that you are a stand-up comedian and the whole world knows you, blah blah blah. What can you do? What can we do for the next generation, for the ones that come after you, for the not just the comedians, also for the audience? Because other than okay, you can grow comedians, but if there's no audience who doesn't not know what going to a live stand-up comedy show is all about,
Yeah.
you need to grow that audience as well. So this is simultaneous. That's why the Joke Factory became all about the experience of comedy. Great comedians, great ambience, great food, F&B, and then all in all, a great night out. And then people go, "Hey, I've never been to live stand-up comedy, but now I will come again." It's the same thing with cinemas. Uh, you know, why do people pay 15 ringgit, 40 ringgit, 70 ringgit to go to a cinema to watch a movie which they could watch on their phone? Because
Yes.
of the experience. You got the chair, you got the popcorn, you got the sense around sound. You're like, yeah, I love the experience. I'm gonna go and watch a movie every week. That's how we look at the Joke Factory.
There's no question that she is the brain behind it. Absolutely.
100%,
Yeah.
brother.
Okay. So now, let's talk about how this got started in terms of selecting the location, even on to how the prices should be framed out, what kind of food should be served, and how do you get potential comics to come to your place to try to give the first show there. How do you play? Why did you select Paprika as the place?
Okay, so originally we had already, our sites were set on a different location. We had done the drawings. We were in talks with that the management of that location. And then along the way, I think Publica got wind of us because prior to that, because by the way, we opened in August 2018. So before that, we had already done many shows in the Publica, the Black Box and the White Box and the B. I'd done 2 comedy festivals, international comedy festivals, the Kuala Lumpur International Comedy Festival 2015 and the Kuala Lumpur International Comedy Festival 2017 in Publica. Those of you who know Publica know that it's a artistic destination mall. There's a lot of creativity. Before MCO, there was fairs and coffee fairs and film fairs and book fairs and Orang Asli fairs and fashion fairs, all happening in the Publica. So the Publica looked at us, heard that we were looking at another venue, and they came to us and said, "Guys, we've got a relationship. You've worked with us before. This new lot has just come open. Come and look at it." And we were excited about when it came up, because before that we were thinking, Publica, great, but maybe a little bit too pricey. But the UAM have been very great. We've been very grateful to them, and they work together with us. And they just as much as we enjoy being here, I think that they also benefit from the fact that now there is a full-time comedy club, come F&B restaurant in their venue. So that's how we ended up in the Publica. We were almost somewhere else. Now moving on, the whole ambience, So by the way, the Joke Factory is the theater. The Joke and Look is the F&B. So my wife was very much involved in the menu selection. We had food tasting. We identified. My wife, I don't know why, she wants to do everything. The only thing she hasn't tried is stand-up comedy. Everything else she's done already. I tell you that. So
okay. So in terms of Sorry. So in terms of investment, the initial investment, was it a high investment cost? Are you the only investors with your wife, or are there any investors who came in to support you?
Frankly speaking, for all intents and purposes, we put our money where our mouth was. Only because we both felt that it was, we didn't want to let anyone down. So this is our first foray into a live venue. Number one, we're not going to let it fail. But number two, if it does, touch wood, for whatever reason, at least we are not letting anyone down who had invested into it. So the first two this venue is basically not just our own sweat and blood, but also our own investment. However, upon saying that, we have very good partners who are, from a point of experience, from a point of running an F&B venue, from a point of construction, from a point of marketing, who are in partnership with us, such that, I mean, as you know, ChunWai, it's all about partnerships. We're basically a startup. So it's all about partnerships. And as a startup, you do A to Z yourself. Like you angkat the kursi, you paint the paint, you light the light bulb, you go to Petaling Street and find the cheapest but most expensive looking chair. So so we do have partners and friends who helped us along the way. And I would like to add, since opening the club, the selection or the amount of new friends that we have made who have become staunch supporters and very generous with their time, with their ideas, the value from that, you can't put money in that kind of relationships that we have created by having the Joke Factory.
So how many staff do you have to run the Joke Factory?
Okay, pre-MCO is different from current RMCO. So back in the day, I had, I would say, full-time, both across the F&B and the theatre. I would say we had full-time, we probably had 8. Post MCO, right now in the RMCO, full-time, we are down to 3 full-time. And we take some part-timers as well. Only because our numbers have been restricted by SOPs. So back in the day, we could fit up to 170 people in the room, everybody sitting close to each other, watching some great comedy. Now we are restricted, with 1 meter social distancing. We have to bring it down to 40, 42. So just based on that, and we're picking ourselves up off the ground. We had to let go a couple of people, but not because we could not afford to keep them, but because they would not, everyone has to dig in, tighten their belt, and especially during the MCO, the first month, like this is all new normal. How do you work from home? How do you get yourself out of that zone? A lot of people went into depression. A lot of people couldn't work it out. And we found out, in fact, I found out before the MCO, certain people were not up to par. So MCO was like a reason to, let's clean house. So you may have an old chair in the corner that's been with you, but at the end of the day, it's broken. Like, you're keeping it for what? So we had to clean house, and we are now lean machine. We're back on. And since we opened on August the 10th, Alhamdulillah, it's been pretty good.
Harith, you mentioned about the joys of having this Joke Factory. A lot of friendship was forged, and that a lot of people came to your place. What would we consider the most difficult part of running a company and something unique like the Joke Factory? It's not like running mixed economy rice or a pub. It's really different. It's a different kind of business altogether.
Okay, ChunWai is someone who has been, you've been in big company your whole life. So at the end of the day, you're dealing with people. So no matter how big your business is or how small, people drive a company. So staff has been a great joy and a great headache as well. You're dealing with human beings, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with makcik saya meninggal, you're dealing with ayah, I woke up late, you're dealing with, oh, why do I have to do that? So staff, dealing with people, is a double-edged sword. There are some gems, and you make beautiful, beautiful relationships and friendships. And there are those who make you want to tear your hair out if you had hair. That's why I keep it simple. Now, what is specific to the Joke Factory, our product are comedians. All right. Now, by the way, Malaysia, wherever the world you're watching, it's not just myself and Douglas Lim, okay? Malaysia has some amazing stand-up comedians, and they all perform at the Joke Factory. And you're dealing with people who are there's many types of comedians, but a lot of the comedians are committed to be comedians, meaning they don't have other jobs. Many have other jobs as well. But once again, you're dealing with a product that is, by all intents and purposes, artistic, focused on the craft, focused on the joke, focused on the comedy, who may not be able to have, and I'm including myself in this category, the best business sense, marketing, strategizing, how to put your name out there. So as now a business owner myself, looking to grow these comedians.
You're speaking the lingo now as a businessman.
Yeah. So you get 20 comedians together, and I talk to them about marketing and strategy and branding and putting your name out there. 3 out of 20 may get it. 5 out of 20 may go, oh, I don't really know. I kind of get it. And 10 out of 20 will say, no, for me, it's about the joke. I want to get the best joke, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone needs to go to the top. But, as a business owner, you're like, that's your product. I want to put the best products out there. I want my audience to come back and see great products. I want to give them a great experience. I want to give them a great show. So it's a balance, like, so remaining the creativity, remaining the magic that makes a comedian a comedian. At the same time, still in you need a little bit of IG presence. You need some Facebook posts out there. You need a bit of branding. People need to know who you are. You know how it is. So that's unique to the Joke Factory, which is the product is our comedians and the products are human beings.
What is the most highest operating cost for you in running this company?
I would say, operating costs.
Rental?
Of course, rental would be close to the top. In the F&B business, of course, there's everything else. But I would like to pay my comedians more.
Okay.
That from the very get-go, that has always been my goal. But there are market forces at hand. Let me give you a little story. When we first opened, and we were the first of the kind, full-fledged F&B, upmarket, comfortable stand-up comedy club, and we had people coming to the door, and it was looking good. So the comedians were kind of looking, or some of them were looking at it like, wow, there's so many people here, but how come we get paid so little? So this went on for a few months, and they were buzzing and talking about it. I heard about it, and I had to call an all-comedian meeting. 60 comedians came in, and as a business owner, you will understand this. I said, okay, guys, first off, I want to pay you more, but then I broke it down. Okay, 100 people in the room. This is how much they could pay. Then rent, staff, lights, electricity, internet, wear and tear, parking, and here's how much I have left for you guys. And then you can see oh. So when someone sees somewhere full, they go, sure, make money. You don't know the cost behind the costs, just because the place, you will see a full place, full for 6 months, tiba-tiba will close down. Oh, bankrupt. Huh? How come? Cost effectiveness, where's the expenditure going? So once you run a business, you understand this. And then when I explain this to the comedians, of course, some of them don't get it, but some of them are like, okay. And my point to them is simple. Now, let me tell you what has happened after the MCO. I have made them stakeholders, meaning the more bums that sit down and watch the shows or catch it online in streaming, you are in on the cut. The more you market yourself and get people to watch, you make from it. And then they're like, oh, now they get it.
Yes. Brilliant, brilliant. That's a good move.
Yeah.
What? Okay, you operate 7 days a week, right?
6 days a week we have shows, yes.
Okay. What would be the best days for you?
Okay, here's the beautiful thing. Okay, so you were with us on a Monday night when I did my show officially, Harith Iskander, and we had a pretty full house, especially for our MCO time. And it was a great night. It was a talk show. We were discussing a fairly heavy topic and having fun as well.
I thought it was tough on a Monday.
Tough for a Monday,
but it was a full house.
It was a full house. So hard to say, hi everyone. Got people walking by. I told you so.
All right.
So best nights. Now I can't really say at the moment, oh, one night is better than the other. So we do a like improvised comedy show on a Wednesday night. To me personally, that's a great night because it's a different show every Wednesday. But magic happens. I mean, if you go to enough shows and you watch live shows, I think will never die because it's one thing to hear a recorded version or to watch a recorded version, but the magic that happens in a live environment,
Absolutely.
the unexplainable, the thing that you don't expect happens, and that makes the night. Like if you go to a concert, there'll be that one moment that, wow, I will remember for the rest of my life. More often than not, that's not a planned moment. It's something that's just off track, created by the energy in the room that night. So almost every night potentially could be a best night.
Harith, I watch a lot of these late night shows. Then you have this really smooth TV host. They make the great jokes, and then at the right moment, there's always this punchline. And then I know that they're reading from a teleprompter, and you have this audience laughing at the exact moment. And probably somebody is holding a card to say laugh, cry, clap. And you know that they probably have a team of script writers writing these jokes for them. They just have to present it, and they look really good. Okay, now, do you have a team of script writers, or you improvise, or it just comes automatically?
Okay, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Let's take Jimmy Kimmel or Trevor Noah. So, okay, I went to New York. I went backstage because Ronnie Cheng is a friend of mine, and he works on the Trevor Noah show, on the Daily Show. So here's how they work. This is people, the normal public don't know this. They have a team of 8 to 10 writers who work literally 9 to 5. Come into the office, write joke, write joke, write joke, write joke, write script, write script, write script. Trevor Noah comes in at 4 o'clock, goes through it, and then talks to the teleprompter. Boom, 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 boom. And then you watch it on your YouTube and your phone. Like, wow, this guy damn good. Now the guy is damn good, no doubt. Yeah. But there's a team of 8 to 10 writers, and they get together and they punch out jokes and they challenge each other to come out with better jokes. In Malaysia, we don't have that luxury. When it comes to talk shows, I did a show called obviously Harith Iskander for Astro Awani, where I had the budget for a small team, 3 writers. We met once a week rather than every day. And I had that luxury and I had a great experience. I had some wonderful writers. So the skill of writing also is different. I think you will also know this. You may have found in your time as a journalist, just because you can write a story doesn't make you a good editor. Just because you have a vision on how a story goes doesn't make you a good journalist. Yes. It could be a different skill, right? Yes. So just because you're a good comedian does not make you a good writer. And the best writers that I know are not the best comedians. In Malaysia, right now, all the stand-up comedians write their own material. But the good thing about the stand-up comedians in Malaysia, we're all friends, and most of us are very supportive of each other. There are a couple of individuals I can tell you by name, Muzakir, Zainal, and Rizman, and Prakash, who continuously help the other comedians, continuously help each other, go and watch shows and then talk to the other comedians, and they go in the mama after that, and they're like, hey, bro, that part here, what if you did this, what if you did that? So it's all ad hoc, it's impromptu, but I myself included, do not have the luxury of having a team of writers behind me. Per project basis, I may rope in Muzakir, but other than that, you're on your own, basically.
So it will depend on your mood as you improvise, as the thoughts come to your mind, and it depends on really at that moment, right?
Yeah, it literally is that. Plus, when you perform on stage, sometimes that's when the magic happens. You think you're going to say something, something else comes out, and then you go, oh, okay, quickly write that after stage. Like, next time I try that.
Okay, Harith, I've attended a lot of your shows, and that you will obviously have a certain period where you deliver these jokes sort of like for the month or for that week. So there have been times when I've heard of recycled jokes. So at what point you say, look, okay, I've got to come up with fresh jokes because some of this audience would have heard it, and I cannot repeat it. How do you plan the timing and the duration?
Okay, so that is the one thing about stand-up comedy that is the most difficult. You look at a singer, you look at Sheila Majid, you look at Zainal Abidin. They will be singing Hijau and Sinaranku for the rest of their life.
Forever,
Any
yes.
function, any function they do, Zainal Abidin cannot say, "Oh, I don't want to sing Hijau." Sheila
Yes.
Majid cannot say, "Oh, I don't want to do Sinaranku." They will not. So
Cannot.
the curse is they got to do it the rest of their life. Comedians, on the other hand, people will go, "Ayah, I heard a joke once before. Ayah, I heard a joke twice before." So we are by nature forced to, number one, monitor ourselves. Number two, work out how who has heard what before. However, let me tell you this: a joke, unlike a song, can take anything between 1 hour to 3 months to shape itself.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually work on the same joke for 3 months and find that right sweet spot at that moment, depending on that audience. But yeah, inevitably you are going to repeat yourself. There'll be someone who comes to the show twice. That's just it's like you
Yeah.
don't go for McDonald's every day. Or when you feel like a McDonald's, you go for McDonald's, and it's the same taste. So then you have the McDonald's rendang and the McDonald's whatnot lah. But comedians, that's the big struggle. How do we keep it fresh continuously? But here's the thing: like anything, like sports, like working, the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get. Full stop. That's just how it works.
Harith, what are the subjects that can never go wrong? Which, in no matter how you treat it, no matter how you talk about it, the audience would always love it. What topics would that be?
Okay, to give you a general answer, stand-up comedy is about a communal experience. Stand-up comedy is about communicating. Now, when you communicate with someone, you will only get a great experience if that person gets what you are talking about, if that person has had the same experience, or if that person understands what you're talking about. So, for example, when you talk what jokes or what bits will never go wrong, what is our communal experience in life? Relationships, eating, um, you know, the police, the experience of our politicians. So for example, when I was younger, and I would do a bit about when I was in school, getting on a bus, like the whole bus experience. I know, however, today, very few of my audience have actually been on a bus.
Correct.
So when I prop up the show, when I prop up the joke, I need to prop it up such that knowing that out of the 150 people in the joke factory, probably none of them have actually been on a bus. Not like you and me. Back in the day, go to school, get the night bus. So going on a bus is not a communal experience. Taking a taxi is no longer a communal experience. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe. So now, if I talk about Grab or whatever, yeah, everybody goes, yeah. So it's all about any subject that is a communal experience can never go wrong. So that's why current topics are always great. I just open my mouth and say, Sabah, boom, people start laughing because they're going to expect me to say something funny.
Taking a dig at Singaporeans seems to be pretty.
There you go. No, but you're right, Singaporeans. However, I'm going to say something now which I didn't think I would say.
Okay.
I made a lot of jokes about Singapore, but if you actually listen to my jokes,
okay,
when I make fun of Singapore, you may get the sense that actually what I'm saying is, actually the burger damn good, huh? Why you got the public transport system so good? Why everything work? But it comes out like I'm making fun of Singapore, and I am, because end of the day, sometimes you want to get your knees dirty, you want to eat beside a drain, you want to throw your rubbish out the window, but at the same time, like, okay, by the way, I'm going to say this right now, everybody watching, I make fun of Singapore food. It's got a whole lot better. You know why? Because Malaysians are going there and working there.
I agree. Okay. Okay. Harith, when you go to Singapore, what kind of jokes do you tell?
Okay, so when I go to Singapore, this is a little trick. Like I will tell the same kind of joke, but I will lean towards, look at those Malaysians, eating beside the drain. So, whereas in Malaysia, same line, look at those Singaporeans, don't know how to eat beside the drain. It's the same thing. It's just how your inflection. But Frankly speaking, I love performing anywhere. And Singaporean audiences, the Singaporeans themselves are actually just, yeah, they are our cousins, ma. They can take a joke about themselves also.
When would we see a festival of ASEAN comedians coming together at the Joke Factory?
It was in the works, it was in the planning before March 18. But right now, I wouldn't say the silver lining. Right now, Malaysia wide is the best time for a Malaysian product to grow. So right now, everyone is going cuti Malaysia. Langkawi is full, Pulau Redang is full, etc., etc. Malacca is full. Let's capitalize on it. Right now is the best time to go and watch Malaysian comedian. You don't have to wait for Kevin Hart or Russell Peters to come around again. I'm telling you, at the Joke Factory, you're going to see Prakash Daniel, you're going to see Mat Sabah, you're going to see Filza Awad, you're going to see Kiran Baladev. All these names you may have not heard of before, but you come and see them and you realize, okay, they're not world famous, they're not even ASEAN famous yet, but potentially, then these guys are equal to almost any comedian that you can name out there. So, yeah, when will we see ASEAN comedians? Probably not live at the Joke Factory, at least for another 8 months, I think. But while you're here, come to the Joke Factory and see a host of amazing Malaysian comedians.
Harry, I want to ask you this question. You have performed in front of many VVIPs, politicians. Has there been any time where they felt slighted or been offended by your jokes?
Okay, I'll give you two little anecdotes. People have asked me that before. Frankly speaking, okay, I'm going to put myself in a boat by myself. When I started stand-up comedy, there was no stand-up comedy clubs. There was no stand-up comedy venue. Malaysia did not know stand-up comedy. The only place I performed is corporate function, corporate event, corporate annual dinner. And before, as you know, ChunWai, before any corporate dinner, there are the rules and regulations. No joke about politics, no joke about sex, no joke about religion, no joke about race. In that case, no joke about anything lah.
Potong steam lah tu.
Exactly. So I learned how to ride the fence of appeasing my paymaster, which is the corporation that's paying me. And along the way, who's in the audience? Every single sultan you can imagine, every single Agong we've had in the last 30 years, every single prime minister we've had, every single deputy prime minister, every single minister, performed in front of all of them. So I know what works, what doesn't work. Have I got in trouble? The only one time, Special Branch came to see me. And this was very early on in the late 90s, where I was doing a show in Penang in a fun pub. I think it was actually called The Fun Pub. I can't remember. Was there a fun pub in Penang one time?
I remember. I think so.
I think so, yeah. I was there for 2 nights. After the first night, before the second night, the hotel manager called me up. Hey, Harith, Special Branch came to see me. They're going to be watching your show tonight because apparently you said something last night. I was like, wow. But this is before the internet, before the internet. So the Special Branch guy came to the show, sit at the front table, had his dictaphone, the old recording dictaphone, put on the table, press his arms and just watch my show because I was very extra careful to not say anything that would slight anyone. But other than that, I performed in front of every Agong and every Prime Minister. If they are not offended, I don't see why you should be. You know what I mean?
You have performed. Sorry, you have also performed at private functions for these politicians, right?
Yes.
At the house, whatever.
At the house. So yeah, here's the thing. I have been invited to perform at Dato' Sri Najib's house at least 3-4 times since he was education minister those days. Private functions, of course. At one of the private functions, the Sultan of Brunei was there. So of course, between you and me, those are the most difficult shows because I'm a guy who grew up riding a bus. These guys don't know anything below a Rolls Royce lah. So how to find a middle ground of communal experience? Of course, I'm joking. But at the end of the day, you know what? Here's my point. Oh, by the way, I can tell you this. After when was the last election? 2018.
2018.
What month? May.
May, I think May.
May 18. So after that, when Pakatan came into power, I was visited by an individual who told me that he was with the PMO, the old PMO, and he was assigned to monitor me because the old Prime Minister's office, for some reason, thought that I was saying something that might be detrimental to whatever. Now, he was a bit embarrassed because he was a fan of mine, but he was like, bro, the boss said I have to monitor you and write down what you're saying. I also don't know what to do, bro. So, but here's the thing, Jimmy, like, I'm a little bit of a, I'm not a rebel. You know me, I won't.
Very safe.
Yeah, I'm very, 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 very safe. So I was quite like, wow, really? Am I that much of a rebel that PMO has to look out for me? But at the same time, nothing happened. And I believe comedy is a great way to talk about something. You can use comedy to talk about something where otherwise people will get into fights, be it race, religion, all those things we mentioned just now, including race and religion. Comedy is an amazing way to approach a subject and to have people go, okay lah, let's look at this without going, why you like that? Why you like that? Why you like that? Why you like that? And in general, if you've been to some of the shows, you know, actually, like, you laugh and then inside your heart you're thinking like, wow, can he say that or not? Because you laugh and that gives you the right to go, okay, let's not fight over this, let's look at it.
I think the stand-up comics in Malaysia, including Harith yourself, have really done a great job in raising issues like race and politics and the ability for us to laugh at ourselves. With politicians, they can't do that. You have been able to bring up difficult subjects and then we laugh at ourselves and then we go home looking and say, yeah, we're pretty cool after all, right? I think that's a really great job.
Well, yeah, and you have said it yourself, lah. Sometimes the politicians are doing a better job at the comedy than the comedians. So,
okay, Harith, some people tells me that the real Harith Iskander, who performs or is in front of a camera, is quite different. The different Harith Iskander when he's a private person. Do you agree with that? Are you a much more reserved person, a quieter person when you are at home?
100%. In fact, 110%. I'm actually an introvert. In any room, I will be the person who speaks the less in a social situation. Since I married my wife, so she has actually said, hey, come on lah. You know, that person wants to talk to you or something. In the old days, when I'm single, I'm like, I don't need to talk to anyone. Why do I need to talk? I still am a lot in my own head. I mean, tonight, the way we're talking now, I'm probably saying more words tonight than I will in the next week at home. You can ask my wife.
Yeah.
In fact, my wife, our first date, she walked off after 15 minutes because she said I was very boring and I didn't say anything. So yes, I wouldn't say I'm a different person. On stage, I am a blown up, highlighted fireworks version of the same person that's in my head. So I'm not a different person. I'm the same person, but you are getting the works, you're getting the flash, you're getting the lights, you're getting the bulb all in one on stage for 30 minutes.
Switch on.
Yeah.
Okay, now, since you talk about your wife, Dr. Jasmine Lim, for those of you who are not familiar, but most of us are familiar, I mean, she's really an incredible person. She's a medical doctor. She's specialized in stem cell therapy and the first woman to get a PhD in tissue engineering from our alma mater, UKM.
You're going to bring that up. All right.
Yes, okay. Okay, now, she's really a marvelous woman. Now, you have spoken about how she has influenced you as a person who runs the business, and as a partner and as a mother. Now, can you tell us what it's like for you now that you're a father to bring up these kids at home, and what kind of motivation and values do you plant on them?
Wow. So
heavy.
No, but it's a great question because only when you become a parent do you then realize, oh my God. I remember growing up as a teenager, Why I hate my father when we do that. I hate my mother when I don't want to talk to them. Blah 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 blah. Why they do that? When you become a parent, you realize actually nobody teaches you how to be a parent. You learn from your parents. You learn from books. You learn from talking to people. There is no education, so you end up just making things up on the fly. You end up just working through the experience. So what type of parent am I? Basically, on my own experience. By the way, my wife is not sitting across me. Timely that you should bring up this question. Come and say hello. So, they, those of you who don't know Dr. Jasmine Lim, there's Dr. Jasmine Lim. So I was just about to. There she is. That's the one. So yeah, what type of parent am I? I know I'm making many mistakes, but I'm just trying to figure out, as long as they grow up, what can I do? How can I be for them to grow up just to be kind, uh, normal human beings with, who go for their goals and try not to step on people along the way. But, there's no formula. I think you know as well as I do.
Yeah.
There is no one formula. There is no right or wrong way. And I can look at other parents and go, oh, why they do that or why they do that. End of the day, you do what you can, and you just you just hope that you do the best that you can. So that's why now I'm so much more forgiving. Both my parents have passed away, but so much more forgiving, thinking if younger, like, oh, you blame them for this, blame them for that. No. Once you reach a certain age, you take responsibility and don't blame anyone else for whatever you're doing or your failings. Similarly, I hope to bring up my kids that way to a certain point that you can then let them go, and then they will be good human beings.
Both you and Dr. Jasmine comes from a mixed race background. So how do you inculcate in your kids this prism of being Malaysian, being multiracial, and not to look at things from a racial point of view?
Well, see, exactly. So right now, my kids are still very young, 8, 6, and 4. They haven't got to the point of, because Hari Raya we do, Chinese New Year we go to my wife's, my mother-in-law and father-in-law's place. Deepavali we go there as well, and in Christmas we also celebrate. So we just like I don't think they just think everyone is like this. They
Yep.
just think, oh, everyone celebrates 4 times, and then once in a while we do Wesa as well. I've not introduced Gawai to them yet. Wait till they're 18. But
Uncle
but
Wong
they
will
will,
join you to do that.
yeah, they will, I'm trying to keep that as long as possible. We all get the language in, hey, Chinese, this Malay, this Indian, this other, that. I'm trying to keep that language out of my communication with my kids. But sometimes at a certain point, it's going to become unavoidable.
Yeah.
And then I'll start having to deal with the same questions which I was dealing with growing up. Like, why you think that's different? When did it become different? I thought we were all the same. But you get there when they're older, and right now I'm just enjoying them not having any color attached to the surroundings or their friends.
You know that the Harith, stand-up comic has really come a long way since the days of Tompel, Ayapan, and that they are now professionals who have come into the job. You studied advertising in Curtin University. You went into advertising. Then we have Dr. Jason Leong, who's a real doctor. And that, of course, we have the ex-teacher, that Douglas Lim. You all came from very professional background. And that how would all these strong background and experiences shape you to become a good comics?
Here's my take. The best comedians come from experience, and having a career, a job, a responsibility gives you the weight, gives you the experience that you will need to create on stage. So I know a few comedians who focus on the comedy and they don't get the experience outside. And I will say to them, hey, number one, stop hanging around with other comedians. Go out there, do Grab, go out there, fail at a job, go and work in a newspaper, go and be a waiter, because with experience you'll get personality, you'll get gravitas, you'll get knowledge, and then will make you automatically, can't help but make you a better comedian on stage. So you're absolutely correct. the best comedians come from potentially having the best experiences in life. And what could be a better experience than having a dead-end job in an office from 9 to 5?
Okay, one last question before I let it off. What is your advice to parents who says no to their kids that they want to become another Harith Iskander or a Jason Leong? What would you tell these parents to say, don't be a don't be a comedian, be a lawyer, be an engineer, be a doctor. Don't be like Harith Iskander. What is your advice?
I will say to the parents, keep on telling your kids that. Keep on telling them, make them so angry that they will then use you as their material on stage, and then they become a good comedian. So no, but at the end of the day, I will give that kind of advice as well, because you know, yeah, what is comedy? Ha ha ha. I cannot tell someone not to tell your children to do something. Similarly, I cannot tell someone to tell your children to do something. To each their own, but at the end of the day, more importantly than telling them not to do something or telling them to do something, and what are they passionate about it? Do they find enjoyment in doing it? And which will result in them being good at it. If not, if they're doing it to become someone else or for the money, then I would say don't do it. But if you're passionate about it, you find enjoyment in it, and at the end of the day, passion, enjoyment, be good at it, brings value to other people as well. Because no matter what you do, you're bringing value to other people, and any job falls under this category. Even insurance salesmen, who we all try to avoid. Bring value to someone, you're bringing value to your country, your nation, and the world. So, end of the day, if comedy does that for you, for others, go for it. Being a journalist does that as well. Go for it. You know, it's all about bringing value to others. That's what I truly believe.
Awesome. Thank you. For those of you who have not been to the Joke Factory, I will recommend you to go. It is really worth going and support Harith Iskander and all the comedians there. They're doing a really good job. And finally, to Malaysians and followers around the world, thank you for joining me in Harith Iskander tonight. Please like, follow, and share RealChunWai. Thank you, Harith.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good night.
Chunwai. Talk to you soon. Good night.
Yes.